Hello everyone. So by now I would presume that all of you have access to Creo in one way or another. If you still are facing problems in getting Creo or using Creo, you can post a question over the forum and we are going to reply to them. Or you can refer to our previous video, like last week's video, and from over there you can know okay how to get Creo on your own computers and how to use that. Today we would be looking mostly at the sketch mode over here. The sketch mode can said to be one of the most underrated functions ever present over here in Creo. It's a strong thing, but we rarely use the sketch mode on its own in Creo because it is there integrated in the part mode. Uh, but for today's session, we are gonna stay in the sketch mode only, so you can understand really good that how are you going to make sketches, because in 3D again things can get a bit difficult or a bit different. So let's start working with that. So I have a figure downloaded for you. This is the sketch we are going to make. So initially, like you can see that you can note down some things over here. One thing is that it is symmetric about this axis. So everything which is over here towards this end of the line is same as towards this end of the line. So that means that like when we are sketching or when we are drawing this thing up, when we are making this thing up, we need to draw only the half of it. The rest we can just copy that, or in Creo's terms we can mirror that on the other side. So one of the rules of engineering drawing or CAD is like no dimensions should repeat in a single drawing. And that means like once you have mentioned one thing, you are not going once you have like given one dimension, you are not going to give the similar dimension again. For example, if you look over here, uh, this three thing is 3 millimeters, and now you can see that this thing is equals to that, so you don't need to put another 3 over here. The other thing you can note over here is like that's a good convention. That is something which is highly regarded while you're doing engineering drawings or CAD drawing, is to tend to start dimensions from the same point. For example, over here, this thing from this point to this point is 2, and this thing to this thing is 8. uh, you could have given it in form of this thing, from like this, from over here to here is 6. Yes, uh, but giving it in different places at different lines, that's not like considered to be a good practice. Also, if you look at these arcs over here, uh, you can see that there's a written 2 into R2. So that means you have two at 2 points, you have a similar radius of 2 millimeters. And over here you can see 2 into R1, that means you have two similar radiuses of 1 millimeter at similar points. So, and over here you can see 2 into 5.6, and this thing is showing its diameter. Uh, Also, like you have to just take care that okay, if the circle dimension is given, if there's no R written with it, this symbol is of diameter, this symbol is going to denote the radius. Now the radius of this arc is 12, but the whole diameter of this circle is 5.6 and the whole diameter of this circle is 2.8. Now let's start making it. In the process of making, this figure will be moved away from the screen. So if you want to take a snapshot of this point for your use, you can take a snapshot. And yes. Now let's start making it. The first ever thing you need to do is to select the working directory. So here is a tab. Click on select working directory and go to your required folder and just press OK. One thing to note down over here is if you are working in apps anywhere, you cannot make any directory in C drive because you don't have any read or write permissions over there. So you would have to make your working directory somewhere in the G drive. And the G drive, you can access it from anywhere. There's a detailed manual on Queen Mary website that how you can access the G drive. After setting the working directory, we are just going to click on new and we are going to select the sketch. We can build this thing in part mode, but again, it's going to be difficult. So over here, you can just name your file whatever you want. I'm just naming it sketch1 and press OK. Okay, sketch1 already exists, so just let's name it sketch11. So once you are inside the sketch menu, you would be seeing that there is absolutely nothing in the window. So over here, you are going to define your own coordinate system. You are going to define your own center lines and everything in the sketch mode. In the part mode, some things are already there. And when, yes, you can export this sketch into the part mode really easily. That would not be a problem. So the first thing we need to do is to set a coordinate system. So from over here, from the sketching pane, you can select coordinate system and bring it over here and just press anywhere. And then press escape or center mouse button to exit the command. Once you are inside any command, you can always press escape, or there is a button underneath the scroll wheel of your mouse. If you press escape or that, it's gonna exit that command. Otherwise, it would be something like this. And you can always select and delete these. If something you have created by mistake, like this line, you can always select that and press delete on your keyboard. It would be deleted. The next thing, which is a good practice, which is not required, but it's always better to have some guidelines, like over here, because we would be needing this line for sure for the symmetry, and we can create this guideline for us to like help out in the drawing process. So I'm going to create these lines. For that, I'm going to use the center line, which is again the sketching pane. So I'm going to select a center line, and then at the very center of this coordinate system, I'm going to place one center line and vertical and the other one in horizontal position. By your scroll wheel, using your scroll wheel, you can zoom in and zoom out. Now if you look over here, you have these small circles with some lines in there. So these are called constraints. Constraints is something which Creo would think that, okay, this line should, so this symbol, if you hover over there, it should say to you, okay, constraint vertical. So Creo knows that this line should always be vertical and this line should always be horizontal. These are a symbol of coincident point, which means that like that these two lines are starting from this point or they are coinciding on this point. Coincident. All of your constraints are right over here. We can use them. We are going to use them in this sketching too. And just keep in mind these constraints. And once you like, if you are so far away somewhere, you can always press this tab to be at the very center. Okay. Let's start sketching. So once you have this thing ready, now it's the time to look at your drawing and choose a starting point, like from where you are going to start drawing this thing. So I am using this as my starting point. So from over here, I know the maximum dimension, so I can start drawing from over here. And also just keep in mind that in CADs, just to find a reference point or just to make things more clear for you, sometimes you have to create lines which are not required, and then you can delete them once you are done with them. We are going to do that over here too, you will see. Okay, so let's just move this away and start making. So I am creating a line of 3.5 millimeters over here, and then from that endpoint I will create another line. So for now the dimensions are something like 3.13 and 4.29. I need this one as 3.5, so I'm just going to double click on that. Just double click on the dimension you want to edit and change it to 3.5 and press enter. Now if you look at these both dimensions, this dimension is shown to you in black, whereas this dimension and this dimension are shown to you in blue. So black are the solid dimensions. Creo is not going to change these. Like Creo is, if you do something in which Creo has to change dimension, it is going to keep this dimension at 3.5, and it would change this or this dimension. So that's the difference between a solid dimension and a weak dimension. Let's change this to 8 for our reference point. Now we know that, okay, so now we know this point basically and this point. Now we need to find the center of the circle, which is at 6 from this point. 6, or like 6 minus 3.5 is going to be what, 2.5. Okay, just go away, and then let's create from the endpoint of this line a line of 6 minus 3.5, and then from now we know we are at the center of our circles. Now we are at this point, so we can create these circles, and then we can delete these two lines which we just created for our own thing. So let's create the circles of 2.8 and 5.6. Okay, again, while you are in any command, to exit that command just press escape or the center mouse button. So let's change this to 2.8 and change the bigger one to 5.6. Now we don't need this line, so we can just select and delete this. We need this one for now, because we know that this distance is going to be 2.5 and this thing should stay there, and might be it would be a good thing to let this line stay here for just now. But remember that, don't forget to delete excessive lines because they are going to create problems. Okay, now from the center of this circle we are going to create another line because we need a point right here. So either you can draw, if your mouse is snipping at this point, you can draw a straight line from over here which is connecting to this line, or if your mouse is not snipping at this very point, what you can do is you can always draw a line from this point to this point. Now you know the very perpendicular of this circle, so you can draw a line from over here to here, and now you can just delete these. You don't need that. Now with this line we need this portion, but we don't need this portion. But if I select and delete that, it's going to delete the whole thing. So what we are going to do is we are going to use delete segment command. So what this delete segment command does is it would cut the line, it would delete the line to its next point of intersection. So if I select this line, it is going to delete this bit, and we would delete all the excess we don't need. Okay, now for the bigger arc up there, that 12 of radius 12 arc, we are just going to create an arc first randomly from the circle side to the center line over here. And then we are going to do two things with this arc. One, we are going to place a tangent constraint, and the next thing we are going to do is change the radius. So let's place a tangent constraint first. Select tangent constraint, select the source, and select the other one. It's now you can see that this arc is tangent to this circle. This is still 3.5, and this is still 5.2. And now you can just go ahead and change this to 12. And if your sketch again lost somewhere, you can always click this tab to bring it back to the screen. Now let's go with the center part. So the center part, we know that it is something, it starts from 2 millimeters from on the bottom, and one side of it is 1.5, and this is the whole length of this is 7. So 3.5 from this point to the center, and 3.5, so a total of 7. So that would be easy. Just select a line and just set this distance to be 2 and this to be 7 and this to be 3 divided by 2 or 1.5, and then you can just join this over here. And you can always move these dimensions out of your way if you want to, so your drawing seems neat and clean. Just select them and drag them to the other side maybe. Now almost half of our drawing is ready. We just need to place these radiuses over here. So to place these radius, we have a fillet command right over here. We are going to use that. So let's just create fillets of all across, and then we are going to change their dimensions. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. 3 radiuses. I'm just looking at the half of the drawing. So 3 radiuses of 1 radius, and there's 1 of R2. So let's do that. I will just select fillet and select the 2 lines across which I want to create a fillet. Again, down here, select fillet and select the 2 lines you want to create a fillet between. For now, I'm not changing any dimension. I'm just creating fillets wherever I need them. Now this is a unique one which is like 2 in radius, so I'm just going to put 2 over here. This one is 1. So now this one, and this one, they all are equals to 1. So one thing which I can do is I can go back and just like start writing 1 over here. Or what can I do is, for example, if you have 21 radiuses, are you going to you are not going to do them one by one. You are just going to use the equal command over here. So select equal, select your source, like which you have already edited, and then select the destination one. They would be equals to your previous one. I'm repeating this. So change 1 radius, and then you can use the equal command for all of the other. Now let's just delete these. We don't need them. They are just creating a mess over here. And let's clear this up a bit. Now half of our drawing is ready, right? What we need to do is, okay, so if you are having these ends are supposed to be open for now, but these ends are not supposed to be open, so you can always just put a coincident constraint over these two. And if you get something like this, that means that one of your constraint is conflicting with the others. We can look at that later on when we try to extrude that or convert that into 3D. Let's look at how we are going to copy this whole thing on the other side. That's really easy. Just press Control and select all the things you have created. Just remember there would be some tiny lines. Press Control and select everything. Once you have selected it, everything which you need, just going to press mirror and mirror it on, just select this center line and it would mirror it on the other side. Okay, so now you would be looking at this thing like the sketch is ready, but one thing, to convert that into 3D in a Creo, this thing should be an enclosed surface. So if it is colored, it's a closed surface. If it is not colored, it's not a closed surface. So over here we have these lines which are not allowing it to be a closed surface, so let's just delete them. Okay, so this thing we are going to place a coincident constraint over here. It's not letting me to. Let's see why it is not. First let's get on with this side. It went well, so maybe something else. Maybe let's try to create another circle on this side. And let's do coincident for these two. Okay, still the same problem. Let's try to mirror this bit again. I'm going to mirror this, just this bit again. So select them, pressing Control. Mirror and mirror on the other side. There's this small distance over here which was not connected. So now this whole thing is colored. So now this thing can be converted into 3D. We are going to do that in the next more session, how we can convert that into 3D, like how we can work with 3D modules over here. For now, that's the end. I'm going to show you just quickly how like this thing can be converted to 3D. Like, let's go, click on new. We need to be working in SI units, so yeah, we're here. like this. We would be looking at that in the next session, how to work within the part mode. For today, for this session, uh, by the next session, you should know how to set the working directories, how to make sketches, how to use a delete segment command, the line commands, how to exit the commands, how to use mirrors. We can mirror the whole parts too in the same way, how to use like these basic things, line, rectangle. Just try to have fun with these: line, rectangle, spline, arc, fillets. Try to find some online CAD drawings and try to remake them over here in the sketch mode. That's it for this session. See you in the next session. Goodbye.